miss this belated Memorial Day. It is A From Work Podcast with Share Boys. It looks like a SpongeBob hug with the way his face looks. With your boys, Rest Pass, Peach, and Walt, here to discuss all things wrestling, all things all the time. Rest Pass, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing amazing. I'm a little upset with you.
Why?
Because not only by the time people hear this, it's happy belated Memorial Day, it's also happy belated Rusev Day. So you can't mention one without the other.
It's Lana Day. Now, Lana Day is the thing.
But it's belated Rusev Day.
But it's also Rusev Day. Peach, how you doing?
I'm all right. Another morning podcast.
These are fun. These are always the best. It's the brains. I've been up since like 5:30, so I've been ready to go. So we got kind of two. Well, I don't want to say two topics. The first thing we're really going to talk about today, and I kind of just brought it up last minute because I realized the date, the week, and everyone that follows wrestling probably saw it too. But on May 23rd, or was that? Oh wow, it's only. Okay, I thought it was 20 years. It's only 19 years since. Yeah,
you've ruined it. Let's not use it. Next year, maybe next year.
Next year, but it's the anniversary of Owen Hart's death, and this was a big deal for me. I remember I wasn't watching the pay-per-view when it happened, but I remember hearing about it the next day. So I think we were all in grade school still. It was crazy how that happened and everything that happened about it. Rest Pass, Peach, you have any quick thoughts on it?
No, not really.
That's you're so.
Well, Peach, I thought you had a comment about it.
Yeah,
because the movie The Ring also came out around that time.
You just checking out.
Wow.
You could call Meltzer a filthy casual on here, but you just chickened out.
I figured I would lead into it.
Yeah, oh.
That's a terrible lead-in.
Yeah,
it's saying that the movie came out that year.
Yeah, because you're setting up your joke poorly.
Wow, this is coming from
If
Walt.
anybody knows anything about setting up jokes poorly, it's me. And
well,
so go ahead.
The comment was that you really do see the ring before you die.
It's too soon. 19 years. Maybe at year 20. See, the joke was funny when you said it when I thought it was 20 years, and now it's 19. It's just
too tsunami.
It's rough. Yeah.
Yeah. But
my feelings on it, though, since Peachy's feelings was let me make a joke. It's one of the few times of wrestling where part of me thought it was made up. If I remember right, I think I did see the pay-per-view. I'm not sure. At that point, I had a hot box, I think, so I was watching every and any pay-per-view in my my parents' bedroom. But I wasn't sure. Like I said, there's two times in wrestling where something tragic happened. They made reference to it, and you're like, are they trying to make this a storyline? Because this is bad. Benoit being the other one.
Okay,
that was after McMahon faked his death, and then the Benoit thing, and I'm like, I seen it on the news, and I'm still like, did they make this a storyline? Like, this is bad. Like, please tell me. I almost wished it happened, because I'm like, this is awful of WWE to make light of something like this, like to make this into a storyline. But yeah. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going there, except for I remember being shocked, and it's still a shocking.
Yeah,
thing.
I definitely remember watching that Raw, and everyone crying. I remember. So I believe, he was the Blue Blazer at the time, but he had just come off teaming with Jeff Jarrett, I think, during the whole Nugget angle, which I love that. I thought that was fun. Him and Jarrett were a great tag team with Deborah as the manager. And I remember, I forget who Jarrett faced that night, but he did the sharpshooter, and I just remember Jarrett pointing up to the sky crying, putting in whoever he was facing that night in the sharpshooter. I think that was one of the first real times you it, wrestling broke the fourth wall, per se, to where they kind of had to come out. Like, I don't remember anything really beforehand. Nothing, I don't think anything serious had ever happened anytime beforehand like that. And yeah, you've seen it a couple more times on TV. The Benoit thing to where McMahon had killed himself in the script and then had to come out the next week and said it was fake. They did the whole Benoit memorial show, and then you found out he, murdered his wife and kid. And then that next night on ECW, they made a statement. Yeah.
In case somebody didn't get to that point and
rewatching the WWE version of ECW. I wouldn't wish that evil upon anybody. But then, what was it? One of the more recent ones was when Jerry Lawler had the heart attack on Raw. That was rough to watch. And like the funniest thing about that is to where you wonder if they do these things. The Owen Hart thing. All right, is this a storyline? Is this real? But like the Jerry Lawler thing, Michael Cole was a straight up heel before, like as that was going on, and his reaction and all that stuff just made him a face because of how well he handled it. What he did on commentary that night, how sincere all of his. The way he was speaking, how sincere he was, because, he didn't want to see anything happen bad to Jerry. But, yeah, I wish Owen Hart, it sucks that it happens. I think Owen Hart would have gone on for a much, longer time. He had... I think he probably would have ended up being one of the greatest Intercontinental Champions of all time in the long haul. Like, I think he would have gotten a lot more title reigns. Could see him with maybe 1 or 2 world title reigns. But I don't see them ever pushing him that far. But it just sucks that we got robbed of that, especially with going into the 2000s. You had a bunch more technical wrestlers come in that would have paired up nicely against him. It would have been nice to have like Owen Hart as a manager for when like the Hart Dynasty came out, the Tyson Kidd, Davey Boy, and Talia. Because I think he would have hung around for a while. So, any other thoughts from you guys on Owen Hart on the 19th anniversary?
I had all these like the 20-year, stories, and it just ruined right now.
Yeah, well, would you expect anything less from me?
I was already tired, and now I'm depressed. Thank you.
No problem. That's what I do. But we can pseudo tie this into kind of our main topic this week. Yep. So, doing my research into this, one of the highest rated Raws of all time was the Owen Hart tribute show. I think it had like a 7.4 or something like that, which meant like over 7 million people were watching it live that night. But Raw has, as many of you are aware, has gone down the tube or the shithole a lot lately, and are only getting ratings in like the 2.5 or the 3 to they're averaging like I think 2.5, 3 million people per episode. And Mike brought up he wanted to talk about the ratings and stuff in this week's episode. I wanted to tie it in with the SmackDown new deal going to Fox in October of 2019 that was reportedly worth over $1 billion. So a lot of things happening on the business side that, honestly, in my mind, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It does, but it doesn't, especially with like how the ratings are. So, Mike, you want to touch on the or RestPass? You want to touch on the ratings real fast? Kind of your little rant about it.
Well, I was just kind of talking about how it's getting lower, obviously.
Here's a question. So before we go into the ratings thing, I just thought about this. Do you think the product itself is better, worse, even than what it was back in the late 90s, early 2000s when the ratings were at their peak high? Like the overall product. And Peach, you can chime in on this one too, since
that's actually how I was going to start it. I was going to say I don't think it's funny. That's literally what was coming out. I don't think the ratings are from the product. I don't think the product is what's called in the ratings. I truly believe, and this was one of the big things I want to touch on with this, it has a lot to do with the part-timers. And I hate to say it because I never really hated the part-timers, and I think back like when Punk left, and I'm not saying Punk was right for what he was saying, but they have a lot of talent now. A lot of talent. I don't think anybody's going to argue that they brought in a lot of talent. As WWE as a whole, NXT,
yes.
Raw, SmackDown, they have talent now.
This hands down is the best wrestling group, like straight pure wrestlers that they have ever had. And with that, I'll even say it's some of the better characters that they've had over the years. Not the best, but some of the better ones that they have put together. But hands down, these are some of the best wrestlers that WWE has had under its name in its entire run, in my opinion.
And that's the way. Like, if you look up and down the roster, I mean, even a group that's probably brutal in most people's eyes, the New Day, they can be entertaining. They're entertaining. They are.
They are fun.
They just are. They might not be everybody's cup of tea, but guess what? Nobody was. The Attitude Era, everybody was not everybody's cup of tea. I'm sure one guy you loved in the Attitude Era, you loved X-Pac. I never liked him. He annoyed me.
Did you get this from us playing the WCW game last night?
A little bit, but not really. But I mean, I never liked X-Pac. I never liked Six. I didn't quite understand his character. I liked him better as the 1-2-3 kid. I didn't understand it, but people did like him. You know, you didn't have to like everybody. Everybody likes different people, and that's fine.
You don't have to like everybody. You just have to treat them with respect. That's your Apron Work podcast.
That's our new
insight of the week.
Yes,
new segment.
But if you look up and down the roster, I mean, it just sucks. You got Brock Lesnar showing up every once in a while. That takes away most of Raw. It just does. It does. The storylines right now. Think about it. The two biggest names on Raw right now is Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey. And Ronda Rousey's getting a title shot already. And she's, wrestled how many matches? You know? And I'm not saying that they shouldn't do stuff like that, because she's a full-timer. She's coming in as a full-timer. I'm not knocking her. But, like, their biggest names in their mind, Triple H, John Cena, The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar. They don't need these guys. Right now, they don't need them. They have talent. They do. But instead, they'll shove a storyline, and this is no offense to SmackDown, and we're going to get into this more with the Fox purchasing it. But SmackDown, no matter what they say, has always been the B show. It's always been treated like the B show. And Nakamura and Styles is a B storyline in their mind.
Which is
in their mind, that's not even the key storyline on SmackDown. They probably wanted to push Cass and Daniel Bryan over that storyline. And it's a storyline for the title on SmackDown. Like, you have guys like Kevin Owens is probably the most entertaining guy they have.
Yep. And he's buried now on Raw, I think. Well, I don't know if he'll do that. But hold on, before you keep going down this road. Peach, what are your thoughts on, the product now as we're watching it compared to back in the day? I know you did watch more like ECW, but where do you think that stands comparatively?
I watched more of the product. Like, I grew up without cable. So, like, I didn't watch Raw. Raw was always on cable.
We're actually going to start a GoFundMe for you soon so that you can get cable on your
Thanks, I appreciate it.
No problem. But I can say.
But like, I grew up watching the B show. I watched SmackDown. I watched ECW because they were on regular TV. They weren't on cable. And that was like, so like my growing up watching was a lot different than you guys watching. Like, you guys got the better shows. So like, there's probably that. And like, now I don't get to watch the product. I can watch it 2 months later on the network, but I don't watch it. I can't watch it live. I can't see what's going out now. Everything.
Well, from what you see, like, so, you know, we've been to, like, the pay-per-views, and we watched kind of the major ones all the time, but, like, do you enjoy more what they're doing now? Like, do you think it's overall better? Or...
Technically, it's better wrestling. Like, Attitude Era definitely had good wrestlers and stuff, but, like, I think, like, the talent pool now is so much better than it was then. And, like, I there's some, you know, the hardcore stuff is, I miss that stuff, but I definitely see why they've went that way, like, and got rid of it.
Yeah.
Like, there's not as much, you know, I don't know.
Words, you got them. You got them.
There's...
Not as much.
Like, they've cleaned up a lot. Like, it's more family-oriented than it was when...
Well, yeah, you don't get that edge as much. And then usually when you get the edge, that's usually some of the most talked about segments on the show of the week, which is, like... So here's kind of my, like, kind of 2 cents with this, and this is going to kind of bounce off maybe what both of you are saying. So, Breast Pass, to what you're saying with, like, the part-timers and stuff, yes, Lesnar, agree, get him out, kick him out of there, like, I understand, like, I have no issue with Lesnar being, I have no issue with part-timers coming in. I think it does bring more, it makes WrestleMania and, like, those bigger shows more of a draw because you get this special attraction match. You get this guy that, like, you use your B pay-per-views, all the ones in between, to kind of build up, you know, the main storylines, and then you culminate at your big 4 pay-per-views. But then you bring in these special attraction guys to get these quote-unquote once-in-a-lifetime matches. So, Cena and The Rock. Bring that in for that one match. It sucks that it was the main event, and I get what Punk is saying to where it shouldn't be those two as the main event. To where, in that, like, it's hard for me to say, like, the Rock Cena feud was more important than the WWE Championship. No. That year, that specific WrestleMania, I think that was one match that definitely deserved to be above that title match. Undertaker Michaels, that's another match that, even though those at the time they were not part timers, they were both full timers. Actually, no, Undertaker, that was when he was part timing, I think. So Undertaker part time, and that's where you do have these part timers come in to where it makes sense for a good story. Ronda Rousey. Yeah, I think it's dumb that they're putting her in a title match right now, this early. Just because what's going to happen is for those unaware, it's going to be Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax at Money in the Bank for the Women's Championship. And it's just like, you okay, Mike? Okay. Okay, Mike's telling me to keep going. You're getting them at Money in the Bank, and I'm just wondering how are they going to have Nia lose the title already to Ronda? Because how can Ronda lose? And, like, if she loses, it's going to be something stupid that happens, which I think is just going to make her look even worse than what it actually is, and then just take away some relevance to the Women's Championship. Other part-timers, as they come in, like if Batista's always said he wanted to come back. I think that would be great. Not like his last run, to where he got pushed into the Royal Rumble, where I think he even said he didn't want to do that. But you put these part-timers in a mid-card scene at your Big 4 pay-per-views, I think that is where their place should be. And to your point, I think the part-timers help the ratings in the long, like, if you can have a constant cycle of part-timers, like a steady, like, part-timer mid-card rivalry just always going, I think your ratings would ultimately go up.
Yeah, and that's see, I know I'm kind of saying part-timers are hurting their ratings, and it's not. It's because people are expecting the part-timers. You're making them bigger than the show. You notice I rattle off a bunch of names. One name I did not say was Chris Jericho. Why? Because Jericho comes in, puts a guy over, and leaves. They don't need to put a title on him. Cena and The Rock, I don't care if it was 2 or 80, that never needed the title involved with it. The title should have stayed far away from that. And when that comes on as the next to last match, and CM Punk against God knows who is the match after, it makes those people who don't watch wrestling that often be like, oh, wow, these guys must be something special. I don't know who they are. They're putting them on after The Rock and Cena? How is that not the main event? Maybe I need to watch this. But that's not their thinking. Their thinking is, nope, we have to put the headline match on last. It can still be a headline match if it's the next to last match. But you don't put the importance on your world title in that sense. I don't mind the part-timers. I hate how they promote them. I hate how the part-timers are bigger than the show, than any long-term booking. I'm fine with them coming in. Have Lesnar come in and beat the shit out of everybody, and then have Reigns beat him, and then hide him under a rock for a couple months.
You know when Lesnar was booked really well, I thought, from beating the Undertaker's streak to when WrestleMania 33. I think Lesnar was booked perfectly from that point because he beat the Undertaker, he beat Cena for the title. He had a match with the triple threat match we saw at the Rumble in 2015, I think, where it was him, Cena, Rollins, which was a great triple threat match. After that, you had the Mania main event match where Rollins cashes in. Gets the title off Lesnar, which was done, I thought, beautifully. You then had your... I forget what happened in between then and... I forget exactly what happened. Oh, no, WrestleMania 33, that was... Then you had Taker versus Wyatt. But then during the Lesnar-Rollins rematch, Taker interfered. So, title stayed off Lesnar. Then you had the Taker-Lesnar trilogy. After that, then you had, I think, like a squash match with Kane or something stupid. I forget what the fuck it was. But then you ultimately broke into it WrestleMania 32, which we saw Lesnar versus Ambrose, which was just a fight, which is perfect. Like, it gives Ambrose a good rub just because he's in that Lesnar match. It doesn't matter. Like, Lesnar's going to win that match. No two ways about it. But it gives just Ambrose that he went toe-to-toe with Lesnar type of thing. But then, and then after that, you had the some one-off things, and then ultimately it came to the Goldberg match. Which the Goldberg match, the first one and second one, they were done exactly how they needed to be. Goldberg got a quick victory over him, destroyed him, made him look like a jobber. And then you had Goldberg lose to Lesnar at Mania. I just wish the title wasn't involved.
Yeah, and that's where they go wrong. That's where they go wrong. That's not bringing anything to the title. Undertaker could wrestle 80 more matches, lose every single one of them. Is that going to change what people think of Undertaker? John Cena could never win a match again. It's not going to change it. Triple H could never win another match. People don't think less of Jericho, even though every time he comes back, he essentially loses. In the long-term booking of every feud that Jericho comes back in, he's putting a guy over. That's what this should be about. You're coming back part-time. You should be putting guys over. I understand the Lesnar-Goldberg thing. It made sense, especially after the way that shit ended the first time. It made sense for that to be it. But to be honest,
when you say first time, do you mean WrestleMania 20 or
the first match they had? Goldberg Goldberg destroy him or something, right? In the first match, it was a quick match. But I'm saying,
okay, good.
But I understood the long time. I think there was a Survivor Series match. I think.
Yeah, I thought when you said first match, I thought you meant the
No, not
Goldberg.
The one, not the awful match. I'm saying
the Mania match.
That's what I'm saying. It made sense for them to come back and feud because of that, because how their first WWE runs ended. It made sense. I'm fine with that. Goldberg didn't need to come back. You understood why Goldberg came back. He didn't need to come back and put a guy over. He didn't need to. If anything, they mistreated the hell out of his legacy when they brought him in the first time. And it was almost like WWE doing right by him and him coming and showing his son. You understood it. That's fine. But people almost expect that. If I know Lesnar is on Raw, I don't really watch wrestling, and I watch Raw, and I think I'm going to see Lesnar and Rousey, and neither one of them's on the show, I'm not going to watch. There's no reason for me as a casual fan to watch. To be honest with you, I don't watch Raw. I don't watch SmackDown. A lot of it has to do with I work overnight, and I'm usually sleeping when it's on. So I'm more going to watch, read the results, and then I'll catch it later if it's something I really want to see. If I was not working overnight, I'd probably watch it regardless. But most people won't.
Watch it. Yeah, I watch it. Just it's background noise when I get home from work, just because. But it's to the point to where, like if I know Lesnar is on and the way the show's going, that's going to be the main event. After the part I want to see, I'm like, okay, I can turn this off. I really don't care about it. But to go into the ratings, just to kind of tie this in a little bit, so we're not shitting on all the part-timers for an entire episode.
Oh, I'm going to continue this when we get to this next part, so don't worry.
Oh, well,
you're not going to cut me off.
So the ratings at Raw basically have dropped almost like they're right around, like, I guess they get around 3 million viewers or something like that per week as a high average, we'll say. When it was at its peak, it was getting in the 6s and 5s, and then just slowly declined over the years. To me, the ratings aren't an indication of the product. I mean, at one point it was, because it was shit. But I think it's just the way people watch TV nowadays, that the ratings don't matter. And I think that's very true in the fact with the SmackDown deal. So, to your point, like, SmackDown was always the B show. But Fox just bought the rights to SmackDown. Now, Pete, you're hearing this for the first time, right? Fox is in agreements with a deal to air SmackDown for 5 years for $1 billion over those 5 years.
Right. So, like, is it going to be on Fox, or is it going to be on, like, Fox Sports Network, or
on Fox?
I was say, first of all, I don't think they've actually said, and I'd be willing to bet any amount of money it'll be going on FS1, Fox Sports.
No, I think no. So they said, at least, I don't think the deal's actually official yet.
Yeah.
But everything I've been reading about it is that it's going to air on Fox on Friday nights. Then there's going to be a replay, I believe, on Saturday mornings on Fox Sports 1. They also said that it is getting promoted heavily on the NFL shows that they do. So they're treating it as a main product.
I do not see it lasting on Fox for 5 years. I would not doubt that they treat it like if they have something else running for the next couple months, it might get moved to another channel. I wouldn't doubt that they have something in there, you know what I mean? Because it is an all year long show, and I think the rumor is it's going back to Friday, if I remember correctly. So if it's going back to Friday, and if they have a show that's on for a couple, like a summer show, which I don't know what Fox has on the shows, but let's say they have a summer show on Fridays, they might temporarily move it since it's all year round. They might have something in there. Again, we don't know all the details of this. Like you said, it's not official. We don't know the details. We probably won't until, I believe it doesn't start until late next year.
October 2019 is when it starts.
So I'm sure there's a lot into it, but it's interesting because I don't know what you know about these deals with TV, with the different channels and stuff. I know very little, but it's going to be tough for me to think that Fox is not going to want who they consider bigger names on SmackDown.
Well, that's where a lot of the discussion has been coming in, is that, or like that I've been reading, is that SmackDown's now your A show. Unless
if it's on Fox and not on Fox Sports 1, it has to be. It has to be. If they're going to move it to Fox in I guess, relatively prime time slot.
Friday nights aren't really prime time. Like the actual like 8 to 10 or whatever would be a good time, but Friday nights aren't a TV night. Thursday nights are.
That's
TV
why.
night.
So that's why it going to Fox on Friday night that's where it's going to stay there. Like if it continues to do, it's going to do probably lower ratings than what it does. See, that's what I don't know, because more people have Fox. Like Peach, this goes back to your point. Like you didn't have cable growing up, so you always had to watch the B shows because it was
UPN or whatever.
Yeah, it was on
who's
UPN.
that? CBS.
So it was on all. It's the CW now. I think I forget. Or no, it was 57. I'm not sure, but the fact that it's on over-the-air TV now opens it up so much more, because you have so many people today that just cut cable and just only use the antenna for 3, 6, and 10, essentially, just to get those couple channels so they can watch the local news. But now they can watch SmackDown if they're interested. Hell, I'll get rid of my TV. The only reason why I have my TV package, I have it through Sling, and it was the cheapest one, is because it had the USA Network for $25, so I can watch Raw every week. And then SmackDown moved to it, so I was like, all right, I can watch both of them. I think it's going to open up the ratings a lot, or the possibility of the ratings open a lot more. But yeah, you're going to have your main stars, your main feuds on SmackDown now, unless for some other reason, even if NBC works out a new deal for WWE on USA, Fox is a much mainstream company.
And when I said prime time, I didn't necessarily mean it's a big TV show, Peach. I guess I meant if they're going to put it on their A show, essentially Fox, and not on Fox Sports 1. Because the thought process is they're losing UFC. I don't know if you even know that, Peach. ESPN bought the rights to UFC from Fox.
They bought the rights. It's a 5-year deal for $1.5 billion. So technically, what Fox did was they swapped UFC for WWE at a savings of $500 million. I think it is probably going to be an obviously biased opinion, but I think Fox made the right move and will overall get better ratings and better numbers out of the WWE product than they would have with the UFC product.
Are you saying like UFC is just a fad?
It's not that. What I'm saying is the one thing with UFC, and this is what I've noticed over the last couple months, is their cards, like they have these, like the UFC cards, like they're not great. They're not big names, I don't think. This is where anybody that's listening to us that watches UFC religiously is just going to shit on me. But
I actually got in this argument last night, so I'm excited for this part.
The problem is that the UFC guys, like the last 4 or 5 major fights, the main event guy got disqualified like a week before for testing positive for like steroids or something, like a banned substance or something like that. And then the main event has to change. Hell, when Lesnar went back, I forget who was supposed to be that main event, but got kicked out of it because was tested positive, and then Lesnar and whoever he was fighting jumped in as the main event to UFC 200, I think. But you can't. This has constantly been happening in the UFC, and it's just, as a fan, why am I going to dedicate time to UFC if I'm never getting a card or a match that I want to see because it's the guys keep on getting, like, as a casual, not as a diehard, but like as a casual, like I can't get invested enough in this because I barely seen this guy actually fight, and I don't know who he is, so I don't really care. At least on Raw and SmackDown, the last time that they made a drastic change like that I remember was when Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt got like the flu or something, like at a Monday or like a house show right before one of their pay-per-views, and WWE had to change the card. They didn't cancel the match. The card got changed to where it was supposed to be Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt. Changed to Finn Balor versus AJ Styles. Holy shit. That match was... that was last year. That was one of my favorite matches last year. Then the other match was with Roman Reigns. It was supposed to be the Shield reunion versus, I want to say, the Miz Taraj. They swapped in Kurt Angle as, and it was Kurt Angle's first wrestling match back in WWE, where he looked like the Shield's dad because of how old he was with the Shield gear on. But WWE has the ability of that because it's entertainment. It's not an actual sport. So you do have guys that they do have their wellness policy and stuff like that, but WWE can write their character off screen while that gets addressed instead of a hard cut for, like the UFC has to do.
Well, wait, wasn't it the baseball steroids thing where like a whole bunch of them got caught up?
Well, there was rumors that there were a couple. I think Cena and Reigns were named in that whole baseball scandal thing, but then that whole baseball scandal thing didn't come. I don't think it came because like Peyton Manning was involved in it too and shit like that, but nothing actually came out of it.
But that's also to your point a little bit, Walt. The steroid baseball thing and stuff that hurt baseball. A steroid scandal in wrestling is not going to hurt wrestling.
Exactly.
It's not. It's coming out and saying
it might increase the viewership.
Yeah, it's like coming out and saying that, oh my God, Robert Downey Jr. does steroids. Okay. I mean, all right.
I don't want to see Iron Man on steroids.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch Iron Man now. I'm not going to watch the Avengers. Everybody knows it's scripted. It's not. I mean, you might ruin some kid's, day, but to touch on the UFC thing real quick, and I don't want to stay on that too much. I know it has a lot to do with this deal. I actually got into this argument last night where I brought up...
Hold on real fast. Was this with I'm not going to say names, but a certain guy that has a pocket in all of his T-shirts?
Yes, and I will say his name, and you don't cut this out. John. I won't say his full name, but John. I argued with him last night that outside of a few, Conor McGregor, John Bones Jones, outside of a few guys, UFC's biggest names have been involved with professional wrestling. It just has. Some of the biggest numbers. The reason why CM Punk got killed, destroyed, had no business being in UFC. The reason why his first MMA match was in UFC, because he was a professional wrestler and he was bringing viewers into a pay-per-view. The reason why he got put on a pay-per-view show in his first match instead of on the pre-show is because he came from professional wrestling. The reason why he has a second match, even though he got killed and he'll probably get killed again, is because he came from professional wrestling. They're not calling him Phil Brooks. They're not completely ignoring the fact that he was in wrestling, are they? Why? Because it helps them. Brock Lesnar, the reason why he jumped right into there and was already wrestling for a title, was already in the main event scene there. First of all, because he's a beast. Second of all, because he brought viewers. And that's all they care about.
Man, I've never seen you this passionate about anything before.
But I'm not knocking UFC or UFC fans. I'm sure there's other guys out there. I don't watch UFC that much. But one of the other guys that was huge in UFC, huge, Kimbo Slice.
He wasn't in UFC, I didn't
Rest
think.
in peace. Yeah, he was in UFC.
Yeah,
was
I thought he made his way to UFC. He was.
I thought he was in.
He was knocking guys out in porn videos, but people knew who he was.
For research purposes, can you send me these links?
I
just want to make sure.
I just heard from a friend. I'd never seen them. I actually just watched them for the fighting parts, and then.
Okay.
It was purely research.
It's like how when you watch the China one, just because she was in, you were a big X-Pac fan.
Yes. It's actually because I hated X-Pac. That's why I watched it. I hated him so much. I needed to see it.
Get fucked. Yeah.
No, but it's the truth. It's the truth. It's not a knock on UFC. It's not a knock on those guys. But the reason why CM Punk is where he is in UFC is purely because of his name as a wrestler. And they're bringing in viewers that way. The reason why he's getting paid what he's getting paid to get beat the fuck up.
I found an illegal stream of Punk's fight when... Actually, no, I didn't. I was trying to watch it, and it messed up, so I was just like, I really don't care. And I was following a live thread for his first fight. And all you saw is, like, right after, like, I saw a couple things, oh, bell rings, here we go, and he's like, oh my god, he's done, and just, it was just repeating like that. I'm like, oh, so it looks like that went great.
That's like, the biggest thing UFC had going for it not long ago was a boxing match with Floyd Mayweather. Like to your point a little bit, that they're doing better off here with SmackDown with the UFC. They're paying less money to essentially get whatever content they want. If they want to interview these guys, WWE would be more than happy to do it. You want to talk to them? You want the Miz to be on a weekly Fox Sports 1 show? Go right ahead, as long as he can plug our shows.
Miz has like a XM radio show for fantasy football. I see him going on their fantasy football show every week. Then,
but think about now what they're doing with radio shows and stuff as shows on TV, right? Hell, Austin's podcast. Some type of connection with somebody from there. I would not doubt that you start seeing stuff like that getting recorded. And it being a basis, Fox Sports 1 tried to use UFC to build that channel. And it failed. It failed. It just did. If it works so grandly, they would have kept it. So now they get to go completely the other way. And use wrestling.
And they have more control over this because, again, it's storyline, it's scripted driven, and you can kind of, like, Fox, like, hopefully they don't meddle too much. But, like, I think they can more control the content to where, in UFC, you have guys that aren't going to show up, like, just because their ego, like, you see how McGregor acts during press conferences, and yeah, that's a show and stuff like that, but from Fox, that's a liability because you don't know what he's going to do, and it's going to reflect badly. Like, I know all press is good press, or whatever the...
No press is bad press.
Yeah. Whatever that phrase is. But, like, it's still shitty. Like, if McGregor's throwing a chair through a fucking bus window, that the Fox Sports 1 logo's at the bottom of every video because that was the only one it's on. WWE, you really don't have a lot of... Nowadays, you don't. A lot of bad stories, like, coming out. Like, what was the last, like, bad reputation story that WWE had?
Del Rio's bar fight?
Like,
Del Rio's bar fight?
Even that's not terribly bad. But then WWE got rid of...
on a national scale either.
Yeah, but then WWE got rid of Del Rio.
Right, that's...
The maybe the worst is the whole JBL bullying thing with Mauro Ranallo. To where basically, if for those unaware, apparently JBL was an old school guy, so he would, treat newer people like shit and things like that, haze and stuff like that, which really doesn't go around nowadays. But he was doing it to Mauro Ranallo, and then Mauro suffers from depression or bipolar syndrome, and so just put him in a bad spot, and then Mauro got kicked off. Like, they removed him from SmackDown, and JBL got a lot of shit for that. You had the Roman Reigns steroids thing. Before that, like, the last major news story I remember from WWE was when Darren Young came out as gay. And that was positive all around because WWE handled it correctly.
Yeah.
Imagine something like that if Fox Sports were to get something like that on, something like that happen again. Obviously not scripted, but just something along the lines of, another gay wrestler in WWE, and Fox is there to support that and push that all the way through. That's huge.
Fox wouldn't, though.
As I was saying that, I was like, I'm like, wait a minute. I could see them doing that. Because it would be a more
WWE doing it, not Fox.
Yes, but Fox supporting the...
No,
they would.
There would be no support from them.
But that was like the last major thing. But like UFC, I can think of 3 or 4. I don't even know who it was, but I just remember the last couple main events all like had steroids that they had to cancel the main event, that just sucks because like anybody that buys tickets buys like pre-buys the pay-per-view or was going to buy it and things like that and get excited for it, and then you just lose out on that. Wrestling, we never really lost out on any main events recently that like last minute changed. Like WrestPass, do you remember any?
Not that I can think of, and to be honest with you, if it were to happen, a lot of times they play it off so well because it, like you said, it's a scripted show. I mean, if people are like, oh no, we planned on this from the beginning,
and they have like, the 2 shows that week to change the storyline to fix whatever they need to fix.
Yeah, unless it's last minute, which the UFC stuff you're talking about is not necessarily last minute, but it comes off as last minute because those guys got to train.
Yeah, they can't.
You can't just add two. Yeah, you can't just add 2 guys 2 weeks before and say, "Hey, I know you haven't been training at all, but hey, do you want to get put on this show?" Yeah. Where a wrestler, you could do that with 2 days before. Those guys are ready, and you just change the storyline around. You come in that night, a guy gets injured, a guy gets suspended. You have him show up on the show. He gets beat down. Oh, we need a replacement for tonight. Like they're not doing that in UFC. The guy's not randomly showing up, and they're like, "Oh my god!" Before the show, he got hurt. This guy's returning tonight. Like, because it's technically, it's a scripted TV show. It's not a sport. But it comes off as sporty.
Athletic soap opera.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. But I think overall, I think Fox made the right move with this. Choosing between UFC and WWE. It's a biased opinion from my side. Obviously, I'm more into wrestling than UFC. But I think the reasons why I'm more into wrestling is because of the things I just don't like about the UFC, and I think overall you're going to get. Again, I think Fox made the right deal. I think ESPN's losing out in the $1.5 billion deal. They're getting a lot of content from them for sure, but I don't think that's going to be content that's going to be useful.
Yeah, cause, like ESPN on a whole is just garbage now. It's not about sports; it's about Twitter.
But exactly, social media. But to also kind of tie in with other stuff, I think the Fox deal is also big, and I'm hoping it's big, for other wrestling companies. Especially Ring of Honor and New Japan. New Japan, I think, is positioned perfectly on Access because it is uninterrupted, really. They play the full matches. They don't censor any language or anything like that, so you get the full thing. Jim Ross and Josh Barnett are terrible announcers for New Japan, for Access, because JR in his own right is a great announcer, but he doesn't know any of the guys in New Japan except the major ones. And so he just comes off looking like an idiot whenever he's talking. Same thing with Barnett. But Ring of Honor is the one I'm hoping kind of pulls something out. So like I was looking at the different TV deals and things like that, and Ring of Honor's on Charge, which I've never even heard of. I don't even know if I have access, but it's at Sundays at 10 p.m. I'm hoping that this Fox deal just shows that, like, all right, WWE gets that much money, but hey, maybe other TV companies are, like, kind of like how it was back in the WCW, WWF days, to where Ted Turner was like, I want to start a wrestling company to go against WWE, and then they fight it out. So I hope, like, Ring of Honor and New Japan, they get good TV deals, just so that it is more mainstream, so that I can easily watch Ring of Honor on anything. But like the social media and streaming and stuff like that, Peach, that you brought, it, like, there's an app called Fight TV that replays all the Ring of Honor stuff that I can watch from there, and that's just as easy for me to pull up as is a TV channel.
See, and that's actually, me and you talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I didn't really say my feelings on it. I don't see this being big for TV deals for other companies. Now, what I can see, possibly, let's say this works out for them. And unfortunately, we're going to have to wait a couple of years now, because just because this deal came out doesn't mean anything. If they're pulling like 0.5 ratings and stuff, it's like, oh my God, that was an awful deal. So obviously places are going to kind of watch it out, but because of everything turning into streaming, this stuff like that, I see a thing like, let's say YouTube, making a deal with a smaller show.
I would love it. I love it.
You know,
Twitch.
and then promoting the hell out of it. You know,
Twitch is doing it now with House of Hardcore.
Facebook. I'm saying, like, if they see that this deal made sense, where you might see a bigger online company presence saying, you know what, we don't have to do a whole lot, and we can make this like the beginning of our show. They all fight for the rights for NFL and stuff, and I never compare that. It's completely different. NFL is its own beast. But if they truly want to put content out there to be, you know, have online shows, I could see that for smaller companies getting a chance with some of these bigger websites more than I see TV taking on any of them, to be honest with you. WWE's a proven entity. It knows what it's doing. I think it's just a completely different beast in that aspect. Do I see a national television brand picking up another? No, I don't.
Nah, I don't see national, but I'm hoping that they start making jumps. Like right now, I guess you have 3 wrestling programs or 4 on TV. You have Impact on Pop, New Japan on Access, Ring of Honor on Charge, and then WWE. New Japan, I think, is positioned perfectly. I think it actually does really well for the channel, also, which is awesome. And like that's like I'm hoping that that's what kind of happens. Like you see these wrestling things do well for the channel, and then it just creates a bigger interest, bigger buzz, gets these companies more money so they can do different things. Because then it's also going to allow these companies to better pay wrestlers so that all wrestlers don't have to go to WWE to get their payday. And it allows for a little more variety on Ring of Honor. Like you get more guys down there for Ring of Honor or New Japan, anything like that.
See, I think the thing that ends up hurting if you start putting all these, if you get ROH on a channel, now you get New Japan on a channel, it's going to hurt in the sense that the thing those things have going for them is guys jumping around. I think that's going to be less likely in those scenarios. You need channels that are fine with their stars going to another channel and being okay with promoting it. Because if you're completely, I mean, even if those places are fine with it, you get a channel saying, "No, whoa, no, he's ours. I don't want him on there. We brought you in here because we want him here."
Well, you get it like a conglomerate of channels, like so USA. Like it obviously it's too big for this, but that would be a perfect situation because you could have, like, if you have, let's say USA puts, like let's say they buy up Ring of Honor and New Japan. You can have you can have New Japan on Sci-Fi, Ring of Honor on USA, and those guys can jump around because it's all owned by the same company. And it creates that interest, exactly what you're talking about, like a Viacom or something like that, to where you buy up 2 or 3 of these TV rights for the companies, give them a lot of money, and then you can have the guys jump around as much as you want.
Now, I think it depends, how much money they're giving them. Because now you're telling me that New Japan and ROH is going to listen to them. You know,
you're absolutely right.
They're not going to, because I don't know. Again, and I brought this up earlier. So I wanted to touch on this a little bit, so it kind of brings us to this a little bit. I don't know how much USA has control on what goes on. I don't know if they say what you're doing's work and do whatever you want. You know, we just need a couple of your guys for some of our other network shows. You know, but you're doing, or are they saying, you know what? No, give Lesnar that money. We need him here. I don't know. I don't know if they have a little bit more say than what comes across. So I don't know if Fox is going to. And that's where this whole thing becomes a sticky situation, because Fox just got rid of UFC. Fox would love to have Lesnar and Rousey be main eventing on their show, almost as like a stick it to UFC. And now WWE has to say, this show that's always been our B show, sorry, USA, I know you just gave us a bunch of money for Raw, more than what you were paying us, I know that, but we're going to take our big guys and put it over there. So it's either A, they just do away with the brand split, which now you have 800 guys, and you're seeing the same guys on 2 shows, or B, you're going to have a power struggle between USA and Fox. Because when SmackDown went to... They went to Sci-Fi for a little bit too, I think, right? Didn't they? They jumped all over?
Well, Sci-Fi's owned by USA. Sci-Fi's owned by... It's the same parent company, it's just...
But when they were jumping around to their different channels and stuff like that, they knew what they were getting. They knew they were, we're going to put guys on there, but Raw is what we more worry about. And they understood that. Yeah. Fox, I don't see them taking a backseat to USA.
That's why I'm saying is, that's why Fox, SmackDown is now your A show, and Raw is going to be your B show.
So what they need to do right now, and I think I misspoke earlier when I said, I do think the ratings have something to do with the product. The product, not with the talent pool. I think it has everything to do with the product. I think the talent's there, but you now have what? I guess 16 months to make this right.
Yeah,
you have a year and a half to build these guys.
A double pregnancy, if you will.
Yes, but you need to build them. You need to build them the right way. You need Lesnar to lose the title to Finn Balor with Carl Anderson and Gallows helping him, and building Finn Balor as this huge threat, as this big name. They need something. They need to have these guys lose. They need the Undertaker to get completely destroyed by Seth Rollins. Not even close. Seth Rollins beat him worse than anybody other than Lesnar. Like they need to promote these guys better. They need to let them be them like it wasn't the Attitude Days. They need to let Kevin Owens be Kevin Owens because he's, like I said before you rudely cut me off, he's the most entertaining guy on there. They need to let Alexa Bliss be who she is, love her or hate her. She's entertaining.
Side note, there was an awesome video, I think it came up over the weekend, of Alexa Bliss at... I don't want to say it was a Comic-Con or something like that, but I guess a girl came up to her and said, I have an eating disorder just like you did, and I'm trying to get better. Alexa Bliss went over, sat down, came down to this little girl's level, looking at her eye to eye, and just was, heartfelt, you could do anything, don't do that. And it was, I was like, man, that's so touching. I was like, that's awesome. It was great. It was awesome. But when you say, Alexa Bliss, stuff like that.
Yeah, but they have the talent, and I think that's the most frustrating thing with me. They have it right there. New Day's entertaining. Could you imagine them doing their show? What was it? The up down, whatever.
Up down down.
They do that on Fox Sports 1. With
the world of how video gaming is coming into the mainstream with the different leagues and stuff like that. Fox picks up a gaming thing. They bring in Woods for a commentator on streaming.
Yeah,
that's a shoutcaster. If you
cross promote it, you're getting people out there more.
Yes,
but they're getting the names out there. Putting Kevin Owens on a show for more people to see how entertaining he can be. It makes people start saying who is this guy? Who the hell is he? And then you find out, oh, he's a wrestler. Maybe I want to watch it. And then you watch wrestling, and he gets put where he's put.
Do they cross-promote the other way?
Show.
Bring, Fox show people onto WWE?
I'm sure they will.
Oh, yeah, they will.
Yeah, WWE has every reason to use... WWE is going to use this to their advantage just as much as Fox going to use it to their advantage.
In case you didn't know, Paige, Vince McMahon has a thing for hot blondes, which I'm pretty sure is the entire roster of Fox News. So,
is Linda running for political office again?
She's already in political office.
Is she running again? She was appointed. She's not. She didn't run.
McMahon literally now has fuck you money. So McMahon is now worth more, I think, than Ted Turner was. Actually, I think McMahon's worth more now than Ted Turner. McMahon's worth like $2.5 billion or something I saw once this deal is. The WWE stock prices at the announce of this deal, they went up like $10 a share over the course of a week, which is like the WWE stock. I want to look this. I think it's in $50.
Well, while you look it up,
58.08 is what a WWE stock goes for. Jesus Christ.
And I just sold all my stock.
This is a professional wrestling company at $58 a share.
And that's why it'll stay PG. That's why the Attitude Era is long gone. But they still have entertainment. They don't need Kevin Owens coming out flipping people off and asking girls to pull their tops up. You know, they don't need those guys to do that. They can be entertaining. They can, and I don't know if it's they have too much now. They don't know what to do. But the problem with this deal, the biggest problem, the one thing that I did want to lead into with this, things won't change. They won't. And why won't they change? Because
McMahon
he just got paid $1 billion for 5 years from Fox for what they have right now. That's why things won't change.
You there, Peach?
Yeah,
Peach, you look better now than you did. Okay.
All right.
But
just a side note with the stock price,
just won't change.
On May 16th, WWE stock was at 43.59 per share, and like I said, right now it's at 58.08, over $10 in the course of what's that? A week, 2 weeks, something like that. It's ridiculous. Again, a professional wrestling company. We talking about practice. We talking about professional wrestling, but. Let's kind of try to wrap this up real fast because, Mike, as you and I said yesterday, okay, this one will only go about 40 minutes.
No, you said it. I told you I had. Unfortunately, I knew it was a little less structured because it was going to be all over the place. And Peachy just talks, man. I mean,
Wouldn't shut up. Sorry.
Peach, you have anything you want to add to this?
We might have to cut off about 20 minutes worth of your talking. I'm sorry.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
For those at home, this was actually an hour and a half. So when you see it was only like an hour 10, you know whose part we cut off.
Yeah, Peachy cursed a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't PG.
He got highly upset.
And with all the Fox News comments, he started to get political real bad, so I had to cut it all out.
Yeah.
Peach, you have any final thoughts on it, or
are
you
first
just going to
thoughts?
say generic statements about
Walton being single?
Things? Yeah. It's a very generic statement.
No, like I'm kind of curious what they're gonna do if because there's almost a part of me that was
nice, you're going the generic statement route. I appreciate it.
I would like to see.
I'm actually curious how often you've said little statements like that. Like, I'm just curious if
they would make it like an NXT on Fox. If you can get more of that than a SmackDown.
What's the difference?
NXT versus SmackDown?
Yes.
Just seeing like the up and comers out on like a televised program.
See, and I personally, that's actually relatively not a bad thing that you just said, Peach. I could see. I don't know if Fox what they have in this deal, but could I see on Fox Sports 1 them wanting to show their programming on Wednesdays? Like when the network shows it?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I could they get a little bit more of the networking, the WWE network programming? And now they're promoting the shit out of the WWE network. It's benefiting the WWE, it's benefiting them even more.
Well,
even if it's just a few and far between. Let's say takeovers. Let's say the takeovers are on Fox Sports 1 on Saturday nights.
I say, here's my one thing. Leave NXT on the network. Leave that on the network. But you grow your other brands. Grow the Cruiserweight division on FS1 on Tuesday or Wednesday nights or whatever like that. You grow that other stuff. Like there was rumors early on about like just a straight women's TV show every week. Do that on Fox Sports 1 as well.
But if Fox was smart, they would ask for NXT.
Yeah, but I think NXT needs to stay on the network because it is still developmental, and you do see that sometimes, like not the takeovers or anything like that, but.
Well, that's my point. If they can get, let's say, takeover, just takeover.
That be.
You know, that's all. They just want the takeovers.
And the only thing with that is, then I think you screw over your model for how you make money. Because I'm sure, like myself, I probably subscribe more so for the takeovers than the main pay-per-views. But
now, who gets all this WrestleMania stuff?
Well, there was talks
USA
too that
gets it all now. So,
well, there was something I was reading that said that people are bidding over the rights to WrestleMania.
yeah.
So, like, WrestleMania might be on like on Fox, like treat it like Super Bowl Sunday, like like a very similar setup.
I'm sure USA over time will not be happy about this. I see that being the thing that comes out of this the most.
I could see USA, but I also could see USA being happy because they're getting free publicity on Fox. Because remember, they'll still promote Raw.
Will they?
Check out Raw. Yeah, they're going to.
But will they?
Yeah, they will.
You're definite that Fox did not make that a part of the deal?
I hands down.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just saying I don't know how controlling Fox is going to be in this. You know.
I think I don't know what's going to happen, but
the whole world's going to end.
That's a great way to end this episode.
See, Peach, you talk and you just
spur conversation.
You confuse Walton. Walton's just he's done.
I'm spent. Respass, you have any final thoughts you want to impose to the listening audience?
Yes, I want to impose my thoughts. Now I'm just to copy off Peachy. I'm just curious on what's going to happen. Now I mean it's a year and a half from now. I don't know. I
could be dead.
Yeah, you should be dead.
Yeah. As
but
Peachy
now
would say, I'll die single.
I would like to hopefully get more information than we probably will get over the next year, just to see what's going to happen. But this could be a good thing. It should be a good thing. I hope it's not some ugly mess. But the problem is, again, it ain't going to change. Ain't going to change. Right now, he just proved what they're doing is working. Unfortunately.
Yep, you're right. But yeah, I'm excited. I think it's a very good thing for. I think it's a very good thing for all wrestling, because I do think I'm hoping that this is going to open the eyes to other products and kind of maybe get them some mainstream attention that they should get. But yeah, that's about it. Mike, one thing we did not mention at the beginning of this episode, we did not get All In tickets yet, so. Please make sure
we did not. If you're listening to this and you want to give us tickets, not sell us. We have no money. Just give them to us. Sell it
as you
half
can
price
tell
of
by
what
the
you pay for it.
quality of this podcast, we have no money.
Yeah. We don't need 3 tickets. PG don't want to go. Sorry, Jer. We just need 2.
I just need 1. I really don't care about you.
You are not our social media presence. If somebody sends it, it's coming to me. Sorry, Walt.
Damn it.
I did need you to drive me there, though.
Okay. No problem.
But, yeah, you got All-In tickets. You want to sell them at face value. We're willing to pay a penny over face value. Please give us tickets.
Well,
I'm not even asking for rates anymore. No comments. No retweets. Give us All In tickets.
All In. Yeah. I got my All In shirt yesterday, too. So
see? How are you going to leave Walt out in the cold with his All In shirt with no tickets?
I know.
For you out there listening to this, Walton needs a ticket to go with his shirt.
Is it kosher to wear an All In shirt to the All In event?
Ooh. Concert shirt. We'll
leave that as our parting thought this week. Yeah, thank you everybody for listening.
Yeah. Actually,
was-
please retweet. Like,
Yes.
I was kidding. We desperately need it.
We need it. As Mike said, we have
Walton's
no money.
head is big enough right now. But me and Peachy, our self-esteem's low. We need it. We need to go in there and see that third review this week. We need some rates and retweets. So, all you out there in social media land, we need it.
Well, with that,
Don't end the show yet, Walt. Don't end the show yet.
Why not?
Because next week we should promote the show next week.
Oh,
We actually know the
wait, is
topic for next week.
Is next week Omega Okada?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So next week we are discussing. I'm excited about this one. We are going to discuss
Peachy's
the Omega
excited for
Okada,
this one.
Omega Okada trilogy in preparation for Omega Okada 4, which is a 2 out of 3 falls match that has no time limit, which I'm assuming will go on for 3.5 days.
Yes.
To tie it into this weekend, Han and Luke slept in the Tauntaun longer than this match will go on for. No, wait, that didn't work. We're just going to end at that. I tried to make a... Yeah, there we go. There we go.
I don't get the
man.
reference.
It's a Han. As I discovered yesterday, you've never seen Star Wars, so
I've
don't know why
never
I'm
seen
friends
a
with you.
full movie of Star Wars.
I
That's
still
correct.
don't know why I'm friends with you at this.
Episode 1, I'm pretty sure, is the most I ever seen of any Star
And
Wars movie.
that explains a lot right there. So, but we're gonna leave it at that. So,
So next
until
week,
next week, yeah,
special
next week,
guest host. Come
he
on,
coming?
Walt. He sounded like he was in last night. He said he has to buy a microphone or share yours. But
that will be it.
I will say it right now because I will make him do this. 3 of us will become 4 next week, with Jer Culver joining us
Dun, dun,
because he's the only one that's probably actually watched these whole matches.
I've
So-
watched them.
Okay, well, he understands what's going on when he watches his matches.
Jesus Christ!
I know Peachy's seen them all too.
Second one's the
Peachy
best.
actually
The
explained
second
everything
one's
to
the
you,
best one.
so this wonderful trio becomes a foursome next week with Jericho.
Comes a quad pack if you must.
The man, the myth, the beard. I'm sorry, Peach.
I understand.
Okay, now you can awkwardly sign off. I'm sorry, Walt.
Okay.
This should have been in your rundown.
It
that you
should have,
have.
but we didn't. You didn't send me.
Guys,
that
it's
notes.
back to an hour and a half.
Yeah, it is. Oh man! All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this one. Leave your comments, what you think of the ratings and all that fun stuff. And until next week, watch in preparation of our episode. Watch Omega Okada. Watch all of them. They're worth it. But until that, we will catch you guys later. Have a good one.